Hey everybody, welcome to my very first video. See, a little while ago, I had a fun idea for a YouTube channel, where I could use my awesome illustration skills and vast amounts of knowledge to make a series of educational videos that everyone would enjoy. And because the internet has always been a warm and accepting place of new ideas, what could go wrong? And of course, I'll be using the social media gold standard of presenting my thoughts and opinions as irrefutable facts, and then violently bludgeoning anyone in the comments section who happens to disagree. But hey, if that doesn't sound like your kind of jam, don't worry. I'm gonna start us off with something light. Like politics. And boy do I have the perfect place to start. For those of you who aren't familiar with the current state of US elections, we just had one. And our choices were, yeah. And coming from someone who saw all the coverage, read all the polls, and listened to all the experts, I was feeling pretty good about my vote. And then pretty shocked when the exact opposite happened. My first thought was how? How could so many people vote for someone who was essentially a fatter, oranger Jabba the Hutt covered in hamburger grease and clown makeup? It didn't make any sense. Then one night, while doing some meditative soul searching, I reached an epiphany. Our society has a problem with perspective. Identity politics leaves us with only nonsensical extremes, and while every group of people has a subset of bad apples, it's important to remember that they don't reflect the whole. See, we live in a world where everyone today has a megaphone, and unfortunately that means sometimes the loudest and most vitriol among us become our flag bearers. But that doesn't change the fact that there are people out there who contribute to society in more positive ways than I ever have, yet they still voted differently than me. And what took me a while to realize is their vote wasn't about policy or personality or to watch the world burn, but simply a vote against the status quo. In fact, that's what it's always been about. Every winning candidate in the last 20 years has run a campaign based off of invoking change, and 2024 was no exception. So I guess the only question left for me to answer was, why does everyone hate the status quo? It's because it sucks. Here's some data from the Department of Labor Statistics to tell you how prices have changed in the last 20 years. And by changed, of course, I mean gone through the roof. And it doesn't get any easier when you get old, by the way. I mean, just look at this, alright? Educational expenses for elderly respondents? That's people 65 and older, by the way. So there are people literally eligible for Social Security who are still paying off their student debts. Pretty soon, student debt is going to be ancestral. And if you think living's too expensive, let's talk about dying. The number one cause of bankruptcy is medical bills. You know the country you're living in is a joke when the worst financial decision you can make is to call an ambulance. And can these politicians really say they're out of touch when they've never had to deal with any of these issues to begin with? I mean, who runs a campaign off a great economy when your voters can't afford groceries, pay rent, or go to the doctor? How can we tell people they're morally obligated to vote for someone who doesn't even acknowledge the struggles they face? How can we expect people to be enthusiastic about voting for a party that doesn't even let us pick our own candidates? Bernie was right when he said everyone has a reason to be angry, and the more we tell people that they shouldn't be, the further down the extremist rabbit hole they go, because it feels like the only way to give their anger a voice. So yeah, while I don't agree with anyone's decision to stay home or vote for Jabba Orange Julius, I'm starting to think that maybe I can understand, and it's that understanding we need to get back if we're ever gonna fix the system. Anyway, so that's my video. I hope you liked it. And just remember, if you're offended, you have to be somebody to be canceled. So help make that happen by liking and subscribing. Bye!